Hello and welcome to Some Kind of Game Episode 4, the only podcast where Jay will flame your favorite console. That's right, even the one you played underneath the blanket as a kid to hide from your parents on school night, Jay will flame that too. I'm Justin,
I'm Jay.
and today we will be talking about our favorite consoles and the games that come with them. But first off, how are you doing, Jay?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. Work has been pretty busy. I guess for anybody who doesn't know, I do QA and automation for a living. And besides that, in terms of video games, TLDR, Path of Exile released a patch and they doubled down on their vision of the game, and it was pretty bad on launch. And they added some patches and it's all right. Like honestly, it wasn't
I
even
feel
that
like
bad
you're
on
holding it
launch.
in. You're so calm, but I feel like inside you're like raging. You're like, what
I
are these people doing?
did I don't want to. The issue is I know for a fact if I start it's going to be a rant. So let's just leave it at that. And but I went back to it and I started playing standard a little bit. Um, for those who don't know, Path of Exile is a league-based game, so every 3 months they release an expansion, and all your character progression from the last league is wiped, and you start over. And so standard is where all your characters are migrated, and you can still play there. The only thing it doesn't have is the new league content, um, and necessarily that isn't a big deal for the most part. Path of Exile has a lot to offer, so I played some of that. I went
Okay.
back to Terraria Calamity mod, 1.4 for uh, the mod, like T mod loader came out, so it's been a new experience. I've really liked it. I'm
Can
trying
you
out
ever go
some
back
there.
to Vanilla Terraria? I know we
No,
talked about this last episode.
I never will. I know for a fact I never will. Like it's just so stale compared to the others. Like there's
Right.
so much more to do. There's I'm also not just using Calamity, right? Like I'm using Recipe Builder, Boss Log Checker, just a few other mods like Vein Miner, but it's not called Vein Miner anymore because that was deprecated because of 1.4. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I've been up to. What about you, Justin?
You forgot one thing.
What? What did I forget?
Our boy's in HD. He got a new camera.
Oh, I did get a new camera because I was actually using my work laptop for recording, and
Oh,
now I don't have to. Let's go.
let's go.
Yeah. Uh,
All right, yeah. For me, let's see. Been sneaking a little bit of gaming here and there. Let's see. I have been trying out like a lot of different games that I've had on my Switch.
yeah.
I got like I had like a Dragon Ball phase a while ago. I
Nice.
mean, I've been having Dragon Ball phases ever since I was a kid. But like a long
Yeah.
time ago, when they were on sale, I bought Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and
Oh,
we
nice.
I guess before I move on, that is kind of like an evolution, kind of like a continuing of the Tenkaichi like style of fighting from the older games, where it's like it's 3D, you can fly around, and then there's some like combo systems. I don't know how anything works, but I think the main thing about it is that it's such an MMO like structure. Like the hub world is that you have to enter in. There's no main menu to go into game modes. You boot up the game and you go into a hub world. There's like players walking around and you accept quests, which is kind of like cool, but a gripe of mine. Like, I just want to boot up the game and like go fight like Vegeta with like Piccolo or something. But you got to go through all this like hub world stuff. But it's pretty cool. I think I think if I had that as a kid, I would be like going off. And then another kind of odd one. So there's this sort of arcade card game based on Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if you've heard of it, Jay, called I believe it's called Dragon Ball Heroes. Let
I
me.
haven't heard of I haven't seen gameplay or anything, but I've definitely heard of it. Uh, I actually looked into it a little bit like a long, long time ago. Like
It might be
very
called
close to
Super Dragon Ball Heroes, or there might be journal things. But if you call it Dragon Ball Heroes, I think that's pretty accurate. And it is so cool. It is a shame that we don't have it in like outside of Japan, as far as I know. There's like
Mhm.
nowhere in the U.S. But essentially, it's played through arcade machines, right? Like
Yeah.
it's actual full-on arcade machines, and you get cards through like uh buying booster packs through the arcade machines, and then cards will
Oh,
like fly
little
out.
gotcha game.
Yeah, a little gotcha game. And so like the card art is super cool, honestly. But the way it's played is it's definitely unique. You kind of just it's interesting because when in the arcade machines, if you look it up on YouTube, you place the card. You make like a team, I think, of five in like one game, and then you place your team of five down, and then the arcade machine will read like the cards that you put and like what position you put them in, and then it'll like display it. So it's like a physical digital card game. And so there was a video game release that like captured these mechanics, and so you could
Oh.
collect the cards and play it like digitally entirely. And I feel like I it's pretty niche. I don't think it like got too much. I don't really know if people know about it too much in the West, but the video game is called Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission. There's a
Oh.
port on, I believe, Switch and Steam. I got it on Switch and I played it. It's interesting. It's like a weird experience. The one thing is that it's all in Japanese, and I think for me, Dragon Ball is like one of those franchises that like you actually grew up with listening to the dub.
Yeah.
So listening
Yeah.
to the Japanese voices is a little weird for me for Dragon Ball, but very interesting game. Been playing some Teamfight Tactics since the new set came out, and also been playing a little bit of Persona 5 Royale
Okay.
on the
Um,
PS4.
to go back to that card game, actually
Yeah.
something I did this week was I bought some Digimon
Oh
cards.
yeah.
Yeah, and I bought some packs, and I'm now set up for dueling with Digimon cards. And then
Okay. Would you
yeah,
ever go to an in-person event and play some Sweaty Strangers and
I
get
don't know if
sweaty
I'd
yourself?
place. I don't know if I play Sweaty Strangers because the issue with the Sweaty Strangers thing, I don't know if it's like this, but I always feel like I don't play card games to try hard, and so I like building decks that I think are fun and interesting, slash like I like, the cards I like, and that doesn't necessarily make a good deck. And so, you know, do I want to go get smashed for 2 hours by a bunch of strangers in a card game? Then I guess, but that's my one sort of like hesitancy of going, but if I heard good things or if one of our friends decided, hey, I'm going and they wanted me to tag along, I'd probably be open to it. But for right now, since nobody's asked me and I don't think anybody will, I probably won't be going. Oh.
I think that's how I treat my when I get into a game and there's like any competitive ceiling. That's how
Mhm.
I always start. I always have my casual thing where I'm like I'm playing my favorite thing and like nothing else. And then as I like get into the competitive, my Switch unlocks and I throw my favorite toy into the trash can, and I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes to win. But yeah,
um,
I definitely get that. When I'm playing things casually, I only want to use the things I like.
yeah, and it's really funny. My girlfriend has this phrase called low stakes. And so it's like,
Okay.
it's just low stakes, dude. It's low stakes, meaning like, it's not that serious. Like you just want to enjoy it, right? Like sort of, and also it's like a collectible thing. I don't collect that much stuff, like from anything I really do. So I thought maybe it's time to start collecting something as well that I enjoy. So I love Digimon. I love card games, and I think the card game itself is pretty good. So I started collecting that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But discuss.
Digimon cards are pretty sick. I haven't found any of my local stores, so I've just been in a desert so far.
Ooh. But yeah, discussing things we enjoy. Our favorite consoles. Do you have one? And if so, what is it? What games is it part of? And like sort of, yeah, what console
So
do you vibe with?
I kind of wanted to lead up to our favorite consoles with some honorable mentions.
Okay.
So I'm gonna save my favorite console for last, but I think honorable mention for me is definitely both the both the Sony handhelds, the PSP and the PS Vita.
Okay.
I like played the crap out of those as a kid.
Uh-huh.
And there's like a lot of RPGs. There's a lot of RPGs. I'm a big fan of RPGs. There's a lot of RPGs
Yeah.
on those consoles, but for me, it still doesn't like the PSP and PS Vita are like one of those consoles, are like both of them. I don't find myself wanting to go back to as much. Like I will,
Mm-hmm.
for some of the consoles I have more affection towards, I guess. Even though I played the PSP and PS Vita a lot,
Yeah.
I don't find myself attracted to wanting to dig through the libraries, except for like that itch I get once in a while.
For the PS Vita, I remember being so jealous of people that had the PS Vita because, dude, Sony. That one thing I hate, not hate about Sony, but they sometimes make games that are only for their systems. Like and Nintendo does it all the time, but I always get the freaking Nintendo systems. I
Yeah, yeah.
never had the Sony PSP and the Sony Vita. And I remember there were like two games. I can't exactly remember which game they were. I want to say it was a Digimon game and then some other game that was exclusive for the PS Vita or the
Okay.
PSP. And I wanted to play them so bad, but never got around to it.
The
And
the
I
PS Vita
never.
had Digimon Cyber Sleuth before it got ported everywhere. Was it that one or was it a different?
Oh, it was probably
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things with those consoles. Like you can play a lot of the highlights on other consoles. They just got ported over. But some of my highlights, I think, on those consoles. So for the PSP, the Grand Theft Auto games were really fun because as a middle schooler, you could if you had a friend who played it, you could like Bob was your uncle. You could just drive around and like do random things and like be doing nothing and just having the time of your life. Especially since like the quality for like things you could play portably with other people was definitely pretty low. Like online gaming was nowhere near as much of a thing. Let's see, what are some other good ones? Loco Roco is a really cool platformer. And Persona 3 Portable is really sick on the PSP. Similarly for the Vita, there's just a lot of RPGs. Like there is the Atelier series, which is really cool. It's a RPG, but it's kind of based around you collect items and ingredients to craft things to reach a deadline. If you don't reach the deadline, there's a counter system. Then you kind of lose.
Oh.
Um, and Persona 4 Gold, another Persona game. Yeah, those are some of the highlights. But
Are you
yeah,
a
how about you,
Persona
Jay?
fan?
I'm a huge Persona fan.
Okay,
And
okay.
I think it won't show. It doesn't show up in my favorite console, but yeah, I'm a big Persona enjoyer. Um,
Oh.
any runner-up consoles for you, Jay, before we dig into the heavy hitters?
Yeah, my runner-up console would probably be the Nintendo DS. Dude,
Oh, okay.
at
I love
home.
the
No,
DS. The DS is really
it
good.
is so good. At home, I have like two stacks of like, like how thin the games are, right? They're like
Yeah,
literally this
the
thin.
Cheez-Its.
Yeah, they're Cheez-Its. Like I have like a stack, two stacks of like, this large, like at home, like of just the small cartridges. I did not
Oh,
take
you
care
didn't
of my
keep the
games.
cases? You didn't
I
keep the cases?
No, because it took up too much room. I keep them in a tiny bag
Oh,
at
you're a
home.
monster.
I am a monster, and
Oh my
uh,
god.
yeah, it has my favorite Pokemon game to date, which is Pokemon Platinum, and
Okay.
it also has well, you know, favorite original Pokemon game. And then uh, what else did I love? There were a few games, but I don't know why they're just not coming to mind. But oh, Pokemon Ranger. I had Pokemon Ranger where you like circle around, and then
Yeah.
yeah, and then I had
There's the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games were on DS as well.
yes, those were
Those are
so
really good.
good.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then yeah, and then there was also I had Yu-Gi-Oh card game, which was just basic, and then I can't remember the name of it, but it's like you were this space cadet guy, and you get sent
Oh,
to a
I
planet,
think I know what you're
and
talking about.
you like fossilize like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
monsters
yeah.
and put
Wait,
them on
I
your
love that
team.
game. Wait, I'll
Dude,
find it. I'll find it.
okay,
Okay,
yeah,
wait. There's kind of like two games that I noticed that did this. There's
okay.
Fossil Fighters on DS, and the other one
Okay.
that I played was Spectrobes.
Oh yes, I think
Yeah,
it's.
yeah.
Let me just make sure. Let me just make sure. I'm looking it up. Yes,
That
this
game
game
was
was
sick.
so
That game was so
good,
good.
dude. I can't believe it's a 7 out of 10 on IGN. Come on, bro. That's at least 8 out of 10. That shit was crispy.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, it's okay. Well, first of all, it's um, we have to. I think like going back and reading reviews, I'm always like, this review sounds kind of weird,
yeah,
but also I haven't played Spectrobes in a long time, so it
true.
is decent that it hasn't like aged well, but like to my
Yeah.
juvenile mind, that game was sick.
That game was sick. And then there was like a port over of like, is it, what's the Mario where you collect stars? Is it just Mario 64?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they had a port
Uh,
over of that onto the DS that
that
I
was pretty
played a
good.
lot. Yeah, and then Mario
Except it's
Kart.
like the controls were so weird.
It
Like
was,
the
yes.
D-pad, and then they were like, "Hey, you can use the stylus to move around," and I
Yeah.
hated using the stylus to move around. I love the DS, but
Mhm.
I didn't like using the stylus to move around. I don't have a good. It's like irrational. I was just like, if I'm gonna move around, let me use my D-pad.
Okay. Um, oh, and then I don't know if you remember, but do you remember Spyro, like the series?
Yeah.
You know, so they had games for them back in the day, and I don't know if they do them anymore, but there were some DS games for it. I think it's called The Legend of Spyro, and I forgot. I think there are a few of them. I don't remember which one
Okay.
I played, but um, I, I I'm looking it up right now, and I think I played Dawn of the Dragon. Dude, that those games were so fun.
Was
Like,
that like a 3D platformer?
yeah, yeah, it was like a platformer,
Okay.
and you shot fire and you uh, killed enemies. And then, and then there's also Dragon Ball Z. Is it Fighters? It's like it was this really weird, like style of game. Like honestly, I'll be honest with you, the graphically like it did not hit, but it was actually a lot of fun to play. Like the fighting was really fun.
Was it a okay? Was it a RPG or was it? There's like one RPG, or was it like a fighting like
It was it
one
was
v
like a
one?
fighting game where you fought one on one. You could charge your key and then yeah. So it was a fighting
Okay,
game.
there's a few that was it the one I played because there are a few. The one I played was Supersonic Warriors 2
Oh,
on was that
yes,
one?
it was
Okay.
Super Sonic Warriors 2. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That
that one
game
is
was pretty
like
good.
that one's like 2D. You're usually flying around, and I think
Yeah,
you it was sort of team based, and you could pick like support people. I don't know if you could tag. I don't remember if you could tag them in, but like that
yeah,
was really cool. I wish there was more because like those games I would play through the store like the like single player stuff and like unlock most things. That game as a kid, I was like, man, I wish there was like a little bit more stuff to waste my time with. But yeah, I remember that game.
I agree. And then honestly, the the thing Nintendo got right is portability. That thing was easy to carry around.
The regular DS or the
The regular
DS
DS, yeah.
Lite. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they got the portability right. Like yeah, so you know, I do know it's big, right? I'm not saying it's like oh like it fits in your pocket and it's like so easy, but a lot of people had cases for it. Like no matter where you went, you could fit it in your car, right? Like you could carry it easily if you had the case and go to a friend's house. Like it was very easy, like portable wise. Like you didn't need a TV or anything to play. Like that crispy.
Did did you played the Dragon Quest games on DS, right?
Yeah, yes. Oh, oh, how could I forget that
That's
game?
what I was saying.
Sentinels of the Starry Skies. Oh
Yeah, I
my god.
thought I was
Guys.
like, wait, is this guy not a Dragon Quest
Oh,
fan?
oh my god. And then Dragon Quest Monster Jokers. Okay, guys, if you haven't played a Dragon Quest series game, forget this podcast. Go right now, go download an emulator and play them. I recommend Sentinels of the Starry Sky. I've been told that Dragon Quest IV is really good. They have one for the for the Switch that's more up to date graphics. If you really want,
Sentinel Starry Skies is Dragon Quest 9, right? Dragon
yeah,
Quest 9.
yes, yeah.
That one also had co-op. That had local co-op with it.
Yeah, oh man, it was that. Oh, that's what got me into RPGs like hardcore. Like that game genuinely changed my life. I can't believe I forgot about that game. Like
I
I
apparently it didn't change your life
it,
enough.
you know what the issue was? Like uh I like I should have wrote down a list for. Well, this is the backup ones, right? Like this is the ones that like we're saying are
Yeah, I
heavy
ran into that
hitters.
too.
I
Yeah.
didn't write down any like big hitters for my backups. So yeah, but I should have known. Yeah, that game, crispy.
So one thing I want to talk about before we do the official unveiling of our favorite of each of our favorite consoles, because I don't, we might not have the same answer, but what qualities do you think a console has to have for it to be your favorite? And this could be like physical qualities or like emotional quality. Like for me, I think childhood bias is like a big thing for me. I think no matter what, I will still have the same favorite console. Because but that's
Mm.
like my definition of favorite console. How about yourself?
Man, definition of favorite console. Like, so this is favorite console for us, right? Like, this isn't like
Yeah,
what I think is
is
like the
yeah.
best console,
If
today.
you
And
don't define, you could define
yeah,
them separately. Some people might
yeah,
define them as the same thing, but I
yeah.
define them separately.
Favorite consoles is it is to me is which ones have the best games at the best times, right? Because now we're
Okay.
adults, right? And so we can't play games all day like we did when we were kids. Like when you're a
Yeah.
kid, like you're at school for what 6 hours, 7 hours, and then you come home, do homework for maybe an hour, and then you can just play video games all day. You don't got
I as
responsibilities.
a kid I could stomach walking around and punching every single like wall and rock just because I had nothing to do and I would like just do that. As an adult, I am like I would never waste my time doing that. But then
Exactly.
like that definitely affects my appreciation because some of those games where I was just like spending time doing nothing, I have a lot of affection for.
I agree. I totally agree. So yeah, favorite is just best games at the right times. Really.
Yeah, it's similar for me. I like I said, childhood bias is a big thing for me, and
Yeah.
so like it's definitely my favorite console. I would describe as the console I am most fond of.
Uh-huh.
And with that being said, Jay, what is your favorite console?
All right, guys. Here it
No
is. The
going
big
back.
reveal.
No
It,
going back.
it is the GameCube.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. And then Justin, do we want to talk about the GameCube first, or do you want to
You can
reveal
talk about
yours?
you go talk about the GameCube.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So okay, look, the GameCube has by far, like the best games in my opinion. Like they hit the nail on the proverbial head, bro. Like, uh, let me.
GameCube
All right,
doesn't have Path.
no,
GameCube does not have Path of Exile. Let me
it,
just point that out for you,
yeah,
Jay.
but PCs doesn't count as a. Oh, I mean, technically it's on consoles actually, but look, all right, guys, here, let me paint you a picture of why it's the
Okay.
best. Close, like picture
Get
this.
get your little easels out. Get your little French
Yeah.
berets out. Get
All right.
ready.
Yeah. Picture this. You're in a square room. Okay. Let's just say it's square. There's a little
Okay.
futon in the corner. Okay.
All right.
There's a
Okay.
nice little fireplace in the middle,
Ooh,
and
nice.
uh, when you sit on the futon, you can see the fireplace. But there's also a small TV, about maybe 2 feet across, 2 feet high. Right. Like not
Wow,
super
that's really
big.
descriptive. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And your GameCube, all your GameCube wires are plugged into the back with the,
Oh,
I forgot
okay.
what those three wires are called, but you go plug them in. You press that button and you hear or
Oh
whatever
yeah.
that GameCube music is.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-dun.
Yeah, and you start up the game that's inside that GameCube, and you know what game that is? That game is Mario Kart Double Dash. All right,
Oh my god.
and guess what you did? You erased the data from your memory card because your
Okay.
cousin came over, okay? Your cousin came over to spend the night, and you
Okay.
guys are gonna beat the game one nighter. One nighter, you guys are gonna beat the game.
Oh,
Dude,
that's a good one. That's a good
dude,
one.
that game has so much nostalgia. Like the first Naruto fighting game came out for that. But besides that, like Double Dash really like was like my draw, not it wasn't my draw to video games, but it was like the first like multiplayer game I played, like really not seriously, but I wouldn't even say seriously. Like I tried to like always be the best whenever my friends or cousins came over, like I practiced courses, like I beat the game
Okay.
in one day. Like me and my cousin, like we did everything right. Like we like we like beat all the CCs, mirror mode, like I remember we played as Baby Mario and the Red Koopa. Like the Red Koopa gave like higher percentage of red shells,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
Baby Mario was just a
Oh yeah,
really good
each character had
driver.
their own unique signature item, right?
Yep, yep. So yeah, like, and then besides that, like the GameCube, like, dude, Smash came out for the GameCube. Like, that game was peak.
When you
Uh,
first said like you erased the memory, I was like, "What are you doing?" And then I realized that I did the same thing for Melee, except I would kind of I don't know if I did it with a friend, but I would erase it and then I would unlock all the like I
dude,
would just that would just be my weekend. I'd be like, "All right, I'm in middle school at this time, but I had so much fun just unlocking every character and doing the like a new challenger approaches like thing, and then like beating up Luigi for the 80th time to unlock him.
dude, that's what
That
I'm
was so fun. That was
saying.
so fun.
Yes, and then there were so many different game modes, like uh, where you could fight the Master Hand or whatever. I forgot what that game mode was, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, yeah. And then there's Naruto. I think it's Naruto Ninja Storm. Uh, and then I think to this day, um, uh,
I think it's Clash of Ninja.
oh, okay.
It's the
Yeah,
name of the
it
game.
is.
Yeah,
There we
yeah.
go. Yeah, Clash of Ninja. It was like my first fighting game I was like into. Uh, and then man, I didn't write this game down. Uh,
Describe it. Uh,
it's Dragon Ball Z. Oh, I think it's called Dragon Ball Z
Budokai?
Sagas. Sagas.
Oh,
So the thing is, like, if you
I
look
had
it
that
up,
one too. I had
people
that for PS2.
so people like have actually really bad reviews for Saga, but Saga
Yeah,
got it right, dude. That open 3D world without
they
really
got
being
it
open
right.
world. Like, I love the moves, the fighting. Like, I love the
Oh, my internet dropped
exploration.
out.
Uh, hello? Did the internet go out, honey?
Yeah, my internet died.
Oh, hello.
So
You
we'll
are
just have
back.
to, yeah, we'll just have to cut it,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. But okay. Yeah, dude, Dragon Ball Z Saga, like, that's the game. Like, it did the open world right. Like, it that you
Well, it
unlock
wasn't.
fighting
It wasn't
things.
open world, right?
Yeah, it was fake open world.
It was like set levels that you would
Yeah,
play, and it played like an action adventure beat 'em up, and
yeah,
you didn't really fly. You kind of like hovered, and you could like jump. But
yeah.
I know what you mean.
And then yeah, you like would look for the sensu beans and try to unlock like
It's
the
co-op also.
currency.
That's like the big thing. Two player co-op.
Yep. And dude, oh, that game was so fun. I remember looking at reviews and like people rate it like the lowest whatever, but like that it's in my top 3 Dragon Ball Z games.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
I
is a
like
hot take I ever heard of. But
yeah, so
I can see where you're coming from. I can
yeah,
see where you're
well,
coming from.
so the thing is, like, I played it with my friend, like me and my cousin or me and my friend would like literally play it and like we'd like try to beat it like in that weekend, like we'd sleep over each other's houses and like try to like beat the game. Like that one's up there, and then there was also Boo's Fury, which is not for the GameCube. And then for that third slot, it's like a toss up, but because I don't really enjoy the newer ones that much, I would probably say Budokai 2. um but yeah,
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Budokai series. I got them for PS2 though. I didn't. I know like one, at least one. The first one came out for GameCube, but yeah, Budokai was sick.
yeah. For like, did you own a GameCube by the way?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough to participate in every console generation up until like I think the seventh gen, the after the PS3, Xbox 360. I like was able to get each console at that point, and then I like was like I'm not interested. I'm not as interested, so I haven't got it. The most recent one I have is the PS4 Pro and the Nintendo Switch, but yeah, I
Okay.
was able. I was really lucky. I got to participate every generation. So yeah, I did have a GameCube.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, I mean, it is like I do see that there's a large childhood bias in my opinion. Like I do think I've played, better game. Like they're probably better games nowadays.
That's why it's your
Whatever,
favorite
right?
console.
Yeah, but that is why it is my favorite console. Oh, you know what game I just remembered? There was a Yu-Gi-Oh game that brought the
On the
monsters to
GameCube.
life and played
Oh,
like a
that's sick.
RTS. Yeah, like you would move them to the enemy's castles to take over. Like that. Wow, that that was a hit of nostalgia just remembering that game. But yeah, like my favorite games, like just wow. Whew. The GameCube did.
Sheesh. GameCube
Uh,
is really good. I do have a lot of fun. I think GameCube is one of the last I think consoles to have really unique games. Like
yeah,
it's one of the few consoles that's worth going back to play because they're for the most part. I feel like a lot of them are only on GameCube.
dude, Monkey
Some have
Ball.
been ported over,
Oh my
but
God, Mario
Pokeball is sick.
Sunshine. Holy, how
Sunshine.
could I forget that, dude? That game was goaded.
Did you beat Mario Sunshine? I've never beaten it.
I did, yeah. It took me so long as a kid. That was, yeah, that took a long time. That took a long time for me to beat, but I did it. Um, that I remember it being super difficult.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, so Justin, I really rambled, but dude, I bet the
It's all
the,
good.
the audience is waiting to hear your spicy number one, dude. Who takes the spot?
All right, my spicy number one is the Game Boy Advance, and I think like you can probably find every like entry. You can probably find a console that has done it better, but this is the console that I was hiding from my mom with, like underneath my sheets. I would bring my Game Boy Advance SP. Thank God they released the one with the backlight because the original one did not have a backlight. And I would like just play Pokemon or any other game underneath the sheets. I love the Game Boy Advance.
Okay, you said Pokemon. I have to ask because I remember begging my mom for this. Did you ever? Did you your friends have the Game Boy as well? The Game Boy Advance as well?
No, I unfortunately I was a loner for the Game Boy generation. So like
Dude,
it was like perfect to like have a bunch of your friends play Pokemon. None of my friends were into Pokemon. At least
dude,
for the Game Boy Advance.
I remember so my me and my cousins would get the different versions of the game, and I would
That's
beg my
sick.
mom for the link cable so you
Yeah,
could
yeah, yeah.
trade with your man. Ah,
That like I'm so sad I missed out on that part of my childhood. But
yeah.
for the I had like one other friend who had a DS, so I could
Uh-huh.
play some games. And then I had one other friend who had a PSP, so like I like split that too. But like for the
Yeah.
Game Boy Advance, I would have loved to have like to like be trading like Pokemon with friends, like sharing your like dumb tips because you're a kid and you don't really know how to play games. But yeah, it's just the portability of it. The battery lasted a long time. It was rechargeable. I would take that on car trips, and there's so many different. There are, at least for me, there are a lot of different games I could just mess around with. So you mentioned it, but the Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku series, the first one is like super trash. I think
Uh-huh.
arguably there's like no way you can enjoy playing the first one because there's just so many like fetch quests and
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's just so painful. But Legacy of Goku 2, the second one that came after that
Yeah.
covers like after Frieza to Cell Saga, that game is sick.
Uh-huh.
Playing whenever you could play as a different character in a Game Boy Advance, I lost my mind. I was like, you can play as Piccolo, that's sick, and I would just run around as Piccolo and like punch random rocks, and that's how I spent my time. That was really cool. And then I lost my mind when was able to play as Goku. I hated that Goku was gated until like late game. I think you
Uh-huh.
unlocked him last. But and then there's some secrets. You could unlock Hercule if you did some like random things, and then
I
um,
don't think I don't think I ever got that. I never
I
unlocked him.
yeah I had I had my strategy guide, so I was like all geared up, and I had like my notes. I was all ready. But if you level them up to 50, because like there's a leveling system in that game, and the way that game plays, if you haven't played, if anyone listening has not played it, is it's like a isometric top down pixel art beat 'em up game. That's really it. You just run around punching things, and you have some. Oh, you could also unlock beam moves. That was so cool when you unlocked a new move that you could just spam. The game was a little busted because you could just like cheese a lot of bosses, but Yeah, if you the secret was if you unlocked Hercule, he starts at level 1, but you unlock him at the end of the game. And if you grind him all the way up to level 50, which is like a lot of monotonous just punching things, you get a special ending where they kind of like show Hercule as like the winner who like defeated Cell, which was
Uh-huh.
like a really cool thing that I don't think games really do that as much, like some like random cool secret that rewards you for playing. And then Boost Fury, which came out afterwards, the third one, that was also a really sick one too.
Dude.
That's what you played that one, right?
Well, I played all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude, Legacy of Goku 2. Do you remember the little capsules that you would get that permanently boosted your
Yep.
stats? I played through the game 3 times because I would want to get all of those capsules and just feed it to one of my people. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, and I remember being so pissed off at was it Boo's Fury or Legacy of Goku 2 where Goku dies and you can't play him at the end of the game after the game ends.
I think it's probably Legacy of Goku too. I don't remember if that
Yeah.
happens at because I feel like Goku died in Boost Fury, but maybe he. I think he did, but he came back to life. But yeah, for sure in Legacy of Goku 2, he dies because of the Cell Saga at the end of Cell
Yeah.
Saga.
Yeah. And then dude, and then
It's called Legacy of Goku, but
yeah.
you play Goku for so little. Legacy of Goku 2, but you play as Goku for like so little of that game.
Yeah. And then the reason I really like Boost Fury is you could I think Boost Fury was the one where you could fusion.
Yeah.
Um and I remember, dude, I min maxed that game, no joke. Like you know how you would have to wear was it like it was the Hercule boots or something like that, or the 100 or no, the Goku's hat, and it
Uh,
gave you an extra point of like you know how you got like every time you leveled up and the max level was 200.
yeah.
After level 100, if you wore the Goku's hat, you got an extra point, and it let you get all your
Okay.
stats to 200 if you did it
Okay.
from level 100 to 200. And I remember I uh I like wanted to get everybody to 200, which I did. But you know, like it is so terrible because when you get to the part where you have to fusion, they can both level. So what you have to do
Oh.
is for those parts of the story, you have to grind really, really, really like heavily, and you have to like basically be so over leveled so that way when you do that part of the story where you're forced to be fused,
Uh,
uh, you can just like play through it and have only one person level and not the other character.
let's see. That was like the only game where you Goten like played any meaningful role.
Yeah.
I think and he's kind of like I feel like people don't like him that much. I feel like the creator of Dragon Ball really like doesn't like him because he's such a throwaway character after Buu Saga. But
Yeah.
I love playing as Goten. He was sick. And
Yeah.
then Booster was like the only one where like he got like like an actual character slot and any meaningful gameplay time. But Game Boy Advance also had your Pokemons. I think I
It,
played both. I played all of the Pokemon games on
so there
Game Boy
was
Advance.
Sapphire, like
Ruby,
Emerald and a Ruby, and then also
yeah,
Fire Red and Leaf
Red,
Green.
Leaf Green, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I played through. I think Fire. I think Pokemon Sapphire was the first Pokemon game I ever like beat. In
Mhm.
terms of by beat, I mean like beat the Elite Four. And then I've never beaten Emerald, but like that's one of those games where I go back to every once in a while and I like boot up and I like start a new save and I like start like playing through it, having a good time. Pokemon Fire Red was also really fun to play through. I think they're pretty standard Pokemon as far as things go, but they hit that like bar minimum quality of life where like they're not so old that like there's a lot, like too much shakiness. And you can kind of play through them and have a good time.
Yeah.
And Pokemon Emerald has like a ton of post game with the I think it's called the Battle Tower, right?
Yeah, yeah, Pokemon Emerald is the one with the Battle Frontier. So
Oh,
it's
Battle
like
Frontier.
yeah, and so it has like the Battle Tower, the Battle Factory, some other battle thing. But yes, Emerald was by far the best Pokemon game at the time.
I have to give a shout out to the Mega Man Battle Network series. They released like infinite of those games on that on the Game Boy Advance, and I
Okay.
like played through. I didn't beat all of them, but I played everyone that was released in America at least. And there's six mainline ones, and then there's like spin-offs. Even though Mega Man Battle Network is a spin-off, and the way the Mega Man Battle Network series goes is it takes place in the future where like it kind of predicted the Internet of Things, where like everything is controlled by a sentient AI, but like
Yeah.
you play as like this kid who has this AI companion who like goes everywhere with him, and it's like isometric top down in like the overworld when you walk around, and then it's kind of an unfortunate translation, but you can jack in your, they call it net navi, into like your computer, and then you play as a net navi in the internet, and then it's an RPG, so the way the battle system works is you collected cards,
Yeah.
and it's a really unique battle system because it plays out on a 9 by 9 grid. It's not turn based, it's like live, so you dodge things live, and then you are essentially collecting, they call it chips, you are collecting cards, and these cards were basically like weapons or like moves. So like you got a card that let you like use a sword that did like 70 damage or something, and then there are ways to like build decks essentially. And
Which one?
I Yeah.
I was gonna say, which one was your favorite Battle Network? You said it was a series, right? Like
Yeah.
uh
So I have fondness for the third one. I've never beaten the third one, but I think my most favorite is the sixth one, the last one.
mhm.
Um, that game, I think they really. It's unfortunately, I think it's the shortest, or it might just be the easiest one to play through. But that game like capitalized everything. Like they really like knew what they were doing by that point. Like a
Ah,
lot of the jankness have been. I can't. It took them 6 games, I guess, but a lot of the jankness have been like smoothed out. A lot of the pacing was gone. There's a lot less like fetch quests and like boring filler stuff, and like the transformations are so sick. Like you can transform essentially you can like transform, you can kind of fuse Mega Man with all these other characters, and like I said, as a kid, anytime a character you can play as a different character, or like if a character can get a different form, I lose my mind. I think that's so sick.
okay.
And one other thing is the Battle Network series also copied the Pokemon thing, where there are two versions.
Oh.
And I think it's very scummy of Capcom to do that, because like there are certain cards that you can only get in the other version, and sometimes there are certain forms that are specific to one version, and the other version would get another.
Mhm.
Um, so I think Capcom saw Pokemon do it, and they're like, "Hey, let's milk this as well." And so they also
Yeah.
like there are a lot of like two like versions of the same game, and the last one, which actually came up a lot for you, is a Yu-Gi-Oh game. I really liked Yu-Gi-Oh GX Duel Academy,
Oh,
and
that one was
so that one
good.
was really fun. Yeah. And so like I haven't played it in a while, but there's kind of like there's a I don't think there's too much of a school life system, but you could essentially, it mimicked it a little bit, where you could kind of like choose how to spend your day,
Mhm.
but I think you kind of had like infinite days, and you could go like battle somebody, and then there wasn't like any overworld that you could walk around in or anything. You just like select who you want to fight for that day, and there's like a store where you spend currency that you earn to buy cards, and then every once in a while the story beat would come along. But yeah, I could like go on forever about some of these games I like, but yeah, the Game Boy Advance is like one of my favorites.
Did you ever play the Mario games? Like
I
specifically
did.
Superstar Sega?
That is actually one of my favorite games, for sure. I
Let's
love that. I wish there was a post game. I think there's no post game as far as I know. Like you just beat the last boss, and that's, you can still play. You beat the last boss, and the only thing you can do is your save takes you to your last save point. It doesn't take you to like any after the fact thing. That was so sad, but I love that game.
Yeah, yeah. Did you also ever get to play the Metroid or uh what was it called? Uh
Yeah, Metroid Fusion was
yeah.
one of them. So Metroid is one of those franchises I've been meaning to get into. I played Fusion, but it was too scary for me as a kid. As an adult, I don't think it's that scary anymore. But there's this
Yeah.
one scene that's pretty atmospheric where you're, I think in that one, so it's a 2D side scroller, right?
Mhm.
Typical Metroid. There's one thing where there's like a shadow Samus walking around, and it like is so scary because it has like all your powers and you don't have any powers.
Uh-huh.
and there's this one scene I remember that's kind of early on where you're like walking, and I think you can see them like up above you, and they're like walking up above you, and they're just like destroying everything like near them because they're so powered up. And you're like, oh god, I don't want to. I don't want to run into them. Yeah, so that kind of scared me. But um, I own it, and I want to play it. I want to like actually fully play through it at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. With that being said, we have a fun little question for each other.
Okay.
The question being, if you were stranded on a deserted island, what console would you take, and what 5 games would you take with you?
Yeah.
And so it might be fun to point out that we might not necessarily take our favorite console, but some qualifying rules: assume you'll have access to a TV and infinite electricity, but no internet. And the intent of that is to kind of rule out like multiplayer. Like you're not going to be playing
Mhm.
Halo Infinite online with like your best buds
Yeah.
because it's a deserted island. But there's some concessions for to be able to take any console. Do you want to go first, Jay?
Yeah, yeah. Funny enough, it was my runner-up for the last segment. I would take the DS.
Okay.
The thing that I think edges it for me, and besides the GameCube or like even the Switch or whatever, is the games that I played had like you could dump in like hours and hours and hours. Like Dragon Quest Sentinels of the Starry Skies, like the post
Yeah.
game was like infinite. Like you could spend easily 500 plus hours and like just like
Holy.
not like scratch the surface like but like get really really far into it, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how long it would take you. Cuz like they had like grottos, and what the grottos were is like it was like a snapshot of somewhere in the overworld. And you would have to go and find where it is, and then once you found where it is, like on the overworld, you take your character there, and you have to
Mhm.
find like where the X is, and you once you click A, it opens up the grotto, and you go inside, and there are different. It's tiles, so it's like floor based, and the harder the level of grotto, the deeper the floors are, and then once you reach the end, it gives you like another map, and basically, some of the maps can be legendary bosses, which go from level 1 to 99. So very
That sounds
grind
sick.
heavy. Yeah, it's super sick. Very grind heavy, but really good game. And then, there's Pokemon Platinum, there's Mario and Luigi's Partners in Time, uh, Mario Kart, like if I need to, scratch that itch. Like the DS has it all. It's really portable, like easy to
We
play
should
on a deserted
we
island.
next time we meet up, we should bring our DSs.
Um,
I told Jay this before, but I had 2 copies of Dragon Quest Nine, the game he's talking about,
yeah,
Sentinels of the Starry Skies, because me and another friend were supposed to play together and we never did.
yeah, I'm
Maybe
down.
maybe maybe we
Yeah,
should
I'll,
get a
I'll beat
playthrough
it.
going.
I'll play with you like literally all day if you want. Like I will. I will beat that game. Um, yeah, and yeah, like I said, like the games. I think uh, this will probably be a topic for another day, but I think the games for the DS were built in a time really where games were worth the amount you paid for them, and there weren't
Oh,
DLCs, right? There weren't
oh,
add-ons
this
to
is
the
a
game.
spicy topic.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. I don't want to get into it too much because, like I said, I think it's like a topic in and of
Sure.
itself. But yeah, I think the games were fully fleshed out, really well built, and you know, I think it would kill the most time for me. Like
I
I would
I think
take
one
that.
thing I would definitely say is even though the development tools might not be up as convenient,
Mhm.
I think it was much easier to build games like at that time. So like I think it was a little bit easier to like cram a bunch of content in your pixel art games. Also, like standards are a bit different.
I agree.
Um, but like, yeah, no, I agree with you. I miss how much like content was just jam packed into so many games, and it's like
Yeah.
you can't really get that you can't really get that as much.
Wait. But also the real reason I picked the
Oh,
Nintendo
okay,
DS is, do you remember it had a cartridge for Game Boy Advance games?
I
So
do,
I
I do.
actually am taking two consoles uh, with my choice because that way I can still play, Dragon Ball Z
So
Plus Fury. Uh,
so list your top five that you're taking with you. You can include Game Boy Advance games,
Okay.
but what are your five that you're taking with you?
Uh,
I'll,
okay.
I'll count
How's
them.
about you go first? Cause I need time to think about this actually. Hey,
Okay.
you go
All right, I
first.
guess so. Okay, mine will be. We went a lot about details about other games, but um, I will talk about which console, and I will talk about the reason real quick why I picked each game for
Yeah.
my five, for my console. So this is a little bit of a cop out answer because I was toying with going with the Vita, which is a little bit more of a unique answer because there's just so many JRPGs and like you can like get a little bit of every genre, but ultimately. I wanted to pick a console I don't currently have, which is the OLED Nintendo Switch. I have the original non OLED Nintendo Switch, but in Fantasyland, I hope I can get this OLED Nintendo Switch with a better screen. And so these are the five games. So I would take Mario Odyssey. So I would have something I can move around in and like have a lot of time to sink into, just like running around and like messing around, trying like these different jumps and routes. Um, Dragon Ball Fighters, which is a port for the Nintendo Switch, it honestly plays pretty well. And so I am a fighting game enjoyer, and Dragon. There are a lot of different fighting games ported to the Switch, but I think Dragon Ball Fighters has like Dragon Ball, a franchise I really like, and it's a 3v3 game. So there's a lot of like messing around you can do, just like messing around with different teams and like setups and like combos and like people will create like touch of deaths, which are like these combos where it's like one hit and then they can like do this whole combo that like ends up killing the other enemy off of one hit. So I'll probably only be playing with CPUs because I'm on a deserted island,
Uh-huh.
but the ability to like just mess around and find combos infinitely, I think, is something that I value. So that's my second one. Third one was Minecraft. I don't think there's much to say. Like you can just kind of do anything in Minecraft. And then, all right. So my fourth slot, I had a little bit of controversy because I was thinking about taking Persona 5, but that's not out yet on Switch. That comes out in like a month, month plus from us recording this.
Dude, they'll wait a month to
So
kidnap you so you can take that
But if they
game.
kidnap me today, I might take. I mean, even then, this I was going back and forth. But I'll pick Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is like JRPG, super replayable.
Yep.
Three different routes. I don't want to say more because of spoilers, but three different routes and a lot of like min maxing you can do.
Yep.
It's a tactical strategy RPG, and you can like mess around with a lot of different builds, and also like get also like have social sims, so I can like pretend that I'm hanging out with these kids somewhere else, not on a deserted island, but at, like a Japanese kind of school setting, but a medieval setting actually. But um, and my last one is Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and the reason for that is um, you can also like there's like a challenge mode where you can go in and play these one levels and like try to get the shortest amount of time possible. And I will miss the fact that like I won't have internet because there's a leaderboard, so I won't be able to like compete with anybody. But like that is a game you can min max with your routes and like your Pikmin and everything. So Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and that's my fifth. All right,
All right, yeah, I was able to think of my five games. Uh, the top game, Dragon Quest: Sentinels of the Starry Skies, Pokemon Platinum, Mario and
that's two.
Luigi Partners in Time,
That's a good one. I really like
yeah,
that game. That's three.
Nintendogs.
Oh,
Dude, dude,
Nintendogs.
I feel like if I was deserted on an island, I get lonely. You know what I mean? And
just,
hey,
just
boom.
just get a coconut. Pretend it's a dog.
No, 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 no. I can,
All
this way I can
right.
actually play with a dog, right? And
Okay.
then
Okay.
Dragon Ball Z Boost Fury.
Your one Game Boy slot.
Yep, my one Game Boy slot.
My one thing with Nintendogs is that like there's one segment where you had to do it like tell your dog to do a trick, like sit or something.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it was because of how I spoke as a kid, but I could not get it to work. So I was just stuck at the beginning of Nintendogs for a long time as a kid. And I would just reset. I would delete the save and then start up with a new dog and like just play again up to that point so I could like experience gameplay. Eventually I got through it. I don't know what changed,
Yeah.
but eventually I was able to do it. But yeah, I remember that as a kid.
Okay. Um, all right. Well, Al was a nice little five games from both of us, dude. We really popped off.
Yeah,
And
we had like our notes for how long we wanted the segment to be,
yeah,
and like man, I don't think we could hold it in. We had a lot of fun talking about those consoles.
yeah, and then Uh, this time around, I will be running the hot seat for Justin. This will be a little
Okay.
bit different because this is about our favorite consoles. So what I'm gonna do is I picked 6 games from your favorite console. I'm going to give you uh, basically it's 3 questions, and each question will have 2 games, and you will say one that disappears from existence. So that genre,
Whoa.
that one doesn't exist anymore. All right.
Okay.
All right. Remember, it's quick
It's a lot
fire.
of it's a lot of responsibility. I'll
It
I'll write down my
is.
answers too, so we
Okay.
can if
Yeah.
we need to.
Sounds good. you don't have to write them down. I'll mark which one you pick.
Okay.
We'll start off easy. So Mario vs Donkey Kong or Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
Okay. So Mario versus Donkey Kong disappears.
Okay, perfect. All right. And then Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy or Pokemon Emerald?
Okay. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy disappears. Pokemon Emerald stays.
All right, perfect. And then Dragon Ball Z Boost Fury or Mega Man Battle Network?
Oh, that's hard.
Uh,
Okay. Dragon Ball Z Boost Fury disappears. Mega Man Battle Network stays.
Okay, and then we have a little bonus one. The entire Battle Network series or the entire Dragon Ball Z series for the game? For all the games that
All
are for
on the Game Boy.
yeah.
I think I'm sticking with Battle Network. Battle Network stays. No more Dragon Ball games.
Okay, okay. Very good. So, all right, you want to talk about it real quickly? So you got rid of Mario versus Donkey Kong, and you kept Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Uh,
Yeah.
I think I saw that one coming. I don't know if you played Mario versus Donkey
I,
Kong.
I I did. Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
did. Um, I like puzzles, but I don't think that like I don't think it was able to rip me away from my personal attachment to Mario and Luigi Super Star Saga, one of my favorite RPGs of all time. So
Huh?
unfortunately, it was no match. I'm sorry for killing the lineage early and that there are no more because I think that series popped off on like the DS, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
did.
sorry to all the other fans.
So Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy or Pokemon Emerald, you chose to get rid of Duel Academy and keep Pokemon Emerald.
There were a lot of other Yu-Gi-Oh games. I think
Uh-huh.
people will be okay not having this one.
Okay, but I mean, there's technically a lot of other Pokemon games as well.
Hey,
Uh,
it's Emerald. It's Pokemon Emerald. It was like the RPG, arguably the RPG for the Game Boy Advance.
okay, what if I said Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy or Pokemon Sapphire?
I think if you said or Pokemon Fire Red, because if
Uh-huh.
Sapphire is gone, then Emerald's gone, right?
Yeah.
Um.
Oh no. Emerald stays. Just Sapphire's gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like it's still an easy question. I would just yeet Dual Academy. Uh.
All right. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, I guess okay. Actually, yeah, you can get rid of Sapphire. It's fine to get rid of Sapphire since there are other Pokemon games. But
I was
yeah,
just curious. I was just curious. And then
sure.
Dragon Ball Z Boost Fury or Mega Man Battle Network 6. You chose to kick
So
Boost
so the
Fury.
the next question was harder, but for Beast Fury in
Yeah.
my mind, I was like, 1 and 2 are still there. I mean, I don't want to play one, but Dragon Ball Z, like Goku 2 is still there, even though
Okay.
the third one, Beast Fury, is gone, and that's okay. I can live with that.
Okay. But if you get rid of 6, there's 1 through 5 still.
Oh, six is the best. Six
Oh,
six is actually the only one. Well, for the most part, six is the most popular one that's played competitively. There's like a underground like niche scene that people will play online
yeah.
with, and that's how well it's balanced compared to the other ones. So yeah,
Wow. Okay. Well, that's impressive. But yeah, um, that's it for hot seat. Uh,
that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. I'm not sweating
yeah.
too much.
Yeah. You know, the issue was I didn't have your list of games that were from your favorite console, and so
Oh
I
right,
wasn't able to pick like all the top ones. I tried to take some that you said just now,
sure.
like Battle Network and Boost Fury, but the other ones were already there. So yeah.
Do you want to talk about the question of last episode, Jay? We have a little asterisk for the question
Yeah.
of the last episode.
Yeah. So the question for last week was, have you ever cosplayed as your MMO character? You know, our viewership isn't super high right now, but so we reached out to our friends, and I just got flamed for asking. That there are
bit of a
no's.
bit of a humbling moment
Yeah,
for all the
yeah.
times you flamed everyone else, Jay.
No, no, no. Not me, never.
All right, all right, all right.
And so yeah, there were no submissions to my knowledge. Uh, so
But that's
yeah,
all right because we're going to change things around with our question of the current episode. And we are going to ask the audience the same question we agonized over, which is if you were stranded on a desert island, what console would you take and what 5 games would you take with you? Same rules apply, assuming you'll have access to a TV and infinite electricity, but no internet. And PC doesn't count as a console. And those are all the rules. That being said, I'm Justin.
I'm Jay.
And this was Some Kind of Game. See you next time.